And good Saturday morning. Temperatures will climb a lot higher than they are now. 74 is what we have now. We'll get a high of 88 before the day is out. But what to watch for is going to be the heat index. It's going to be 97 at least today. So keep that in mind as you're planning what you've got to do. We do have a 60% chance of rain. Possible flash flooding is capable of this, possible with this. And expect that to be late in the afternoon. Some 3 to 4 in the afternoon is what we're expecting. Let me turn that off. Is what we're expecting. 3 to 4 p.m. Be ready for that this afternoon, rain showers. As we turn to radar this morning, let's take a quick look at that because we have gotten the fog slowly burned off. As we look at this morning, we got a Meridian Honda radar. It was thick through Neshoba County earlier and Leake County and areas of Kemper. Even had some in Lauderdale here, but it was extremely thick in these areas. It's burned off now. We're still showing some back over near Lufkin, Texas, and out to the northeast, the Carolinas, Knoxville, and on up through West Virginia. But our area is starting to get a little bit better on that. A break. Thank heavens on that. Amanda, how are you? Good to see that you're up, along with Denise Fulton. How are you? Lonnie Timms is up, and Roy Ellis, Mike Dallas, and a few others of you. Glad to have y'all joining in this morning. A busy night. We've got a lot of things to talk about that what happened overnight and over the last 24 hours as we begin today to let you know a few of the things. First, let's start out and let's talk about one of the wrecks that happened last night. Pretty commonplace. We see this a lot. Possible injuries were involved as we pull this up and go to the map. This would be on Highway 19 South and 1st Street. Of course, Meridian Cycle sits here. This would be at the bottom of the hill by the bridge where the Old Horseman's Mart used to sit. Right here at this street here. Last night, it did involve a car and a truck. May have been an argument. Police officers arrived, and they took care of the situation. A fender bender. Well, there's more than a fender bender, but a wreck happened there last night. If you were out, slowed traffic just a little bit there with those cars being in the road. As we went to our next situation that happened last night, this would be somewhere around 1 a.m. in the morning. The Clarkdale Volunteer Fire Department would get a call that there had been a wreck on Highway 45. And let's pull this up where you get a look at this. This would be right past the Causeyville exit, where you get off here to Causeyville, where the gas station is. About a half a mile south of there, a pickup truck would roll over, flip, catch on fire, and completely burn up. Now, I'm told that no one was injured in this. Fortunately, they were able to get out. Volunteer fire department were able to get the fire out eventually there. And you just never know when these things are going to happen. So it had the best ending that you could get to that, I guess is the best way to do that. Somebody lost their car. We do hate that, but they are okay. Again, that was Highway 45 there at the Causeyville exit, somewhere around 1 a.m. Could have been 12:30, 1 o'clock. As we got that. I did get a report of an accident yesterday. This was near Sam's. Maybe you come across it. And I originally listed this as a fender bender. And most of the comments was going, yeah, I don't think that's a fender bender. It was a little bit more. As we look at this, this is the scene there. As we look at the wreck there that happened yesterday. Pretty common that we have these throughout town. Everybody was okay in the end, and that's good news. As we look around, as I mentioned, we got some more hard-hitting stories that we're going to talk about that's happened in the area. But we did get reports last night of 2 house fires. Now, fortunately, with both of these, no one was injured. The Meridian Fire Department worked hard on this. I'm telling you, it took hours to work on both of these. The first one that we go to would be a fire that was reported overnight, 40th Avenue, the 2800 block of 40th Avenue. As we pull this up and show you here, the house fire sit here. We got a video sent in to us from somebody that was passing by at the time. As we'll look at this, as this comes about, as the firemen, you can see the lights in the distance there. Several fire trucks were on the scene working on this last night. And again, at the end of this, no one was injured. That is the good news to all of this, as we see the fire truck getting ready to speed by. And again, glad on that. We do hate that someone lost their home. It's horrible for that. I think each of us have known someone affected by something like that. Our second fire that was reported was just off of 27th Avenue, Poplar Springs. If you're leaving downtown Meridian, it would be really a block off Poplar Springs Drive as we pull up here to take a look here on the map here. Here's where the structure fire happened. It was the 2300 block of 27th Avenue as we look at this right here. Firefighters responded to that. They worked on that also for a couple of hours. No one was injured. No firefighters were injured on that as well. But we have some folks that are waking up, two different families there that have extensive damage to their homes. Neither structure burned to the ground, thank heavens, but that was a scary time for them, and we do think of them. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about this morning, I've got most of the details. We don't know how it happened or what caused this. But earlier in the week, I'd gotten reports of this, and it is true. We have a lady that is deceased in our community now. We don't know a whole lot about it. Names have not been released. But at some point this week, in the overnight hours, somebody drove up to a hospital, pretty much roll somebody out of the car and leave. This young lady would later die from a possible drug overdose. Whoever is just heartless to drive up and do something like that, but that did happen. Our heart's condolences go out to those family members. However, whatever went on, we don't know the details, but it's very sad that something like that can happen in our community with no remorse and just drive off and leave someone. And that is the facts of what went on in our little community within the last 48 hours. Again, I pass along condolences to all those involved. They know who they are. It's just sad that we even have to bring something up like this. Condolences again to those involved. We start looking at some more headlines that happened to us over the last 24 hours. We've had one arrested for kidnapping and domestic violence. As we pull this up, as the press release came to me from the Meridian Police Department yesterday afternoon, as they, on the 22nd of this week, the Meridian Police Department, along with the Special Operations Unit, captured Nicholas Seth Finnega. He had active warrants with the U.S. Marshals, the Gulf Coast Fugitive Task Force, and kidnapping first-degree domestic violence. And if you'll notice there, strangulation involved with that. They had a lot of agencies in town working on that, and he was arrested and hauled off. But that didn't stop there. We had some more also. The next person was arrested by the Meridian Police Department for not registering as a sex offender. As we get into this happened on the 23rd. Again, the U.S. Marshals were in town to help with this, along with the Grenada County Sheriff's Office, combined with the Meridian Police Department special agents there. William Chitwood was charged for failing to register as a sex offender and mischief. That's one of the things that went on in our neighborhood over the weekend also. Also, one more arrest as a burglary arrest was made. As we pull this up, James Mott, as we pull this up from the Meridian Police Department, the CID division arrested him for commercial burglary. It stemmed back to a July 13th burglary that happened on Highway 45. His bond's been set at $10,000. Glad to see some folks being arrested for charges that have been, well, that's a good while now. We moved to our next story, and as I spoke to Chief Deputy Ward Calhoun, we pass along condolences in these cases of unexpected, sad, as well as I mentioned the young lady that passed away. We've had another death in our community as I spoke with Ward Calhoun about this, and he again passes this on from everybody from the Sheriff's Department. Donald William White Jr., he was being held at the Lauderdale County Detention Facility in the early morning hours of Monday. He was transported to a local hospital due to some medical issues. Approximately 12 hours later, he passed away as a result of those medical issues. MBI is investigating this, as they do with any death when someone is being held, and a full investigation goes into this. And again, our condolences to family members involved in this, as we have to break that news as well this morning. Always sad that something like this happens, but at any time someone passes away, while in a detention center. MBI will investigate this to make absolutely sure that no foul play was involved. That investigation goes on. As we go to the MDOT, Mississippi Department of Transportation, Newton County, of all the areas local and close to us, have really had the worst of the weather. Here's a aerial view of what was going on there with replacing one of these roads that got totally washed away. That's an aerial view of a drone flying over that. If you remember, that is the road that swept the truck away, completely washed the road out. And again, and I urge y'all, as you're out and about traveling, no matter which county you're in watching us in the state of Mississippi, be extra careful. Roadways, we've still got more rain coming. We're going to get to the forecast here in a moment. It's a lot of water getting ready to come. And already weakened roads, this runoff comes in, it could cause more issues. I bring up this one. A gentleman down the road that I know, Donovan Hughes, encountered this on Highway 39. And I've seen a lot of posts about this. Be careful where you step, where you walk, because it's dangerous right now. I want you to look at this big fella that Donald run up on. Big Don there. Look at that rattlesnake. There's a lot of these in our community. We want you to be extremely careful. These are out and about everywhere. That's a big boy. They strike without warning and can hurt you. So it's a lot of those on the road. Again, get you a good look at that. I don't even like looking at snakes, do y'all? They're dangerous. But that was yesterday afternoon. So they're crawling. I've seen 10 or 12 other people posting snakes. I wanted to bring this up. I got this. An arrest was made last night. There's nothing worse that you're hungry, you're on your way home, you stop to get something to eat, and somebody's making a scene in a restaurant. Well, that's what happened on Highway 493 last night. As the Meridian Police Department would make an arrest, they got a call that somebody was in a restaurant waving a gun. They arrived and the suspect had left the restaurant. They pursued with the description where employees were still laying on the floor. This would be at the Waffle House on Highway 493. Now, we suspect there may have been alcohol involved in this, but at some point, the customer got mad, waved a gun around, and people got down. He left the scene. The Meridian Police Department would make an arrest. They pulled the gun, held him at gunpoint until he was put in cuffs and hauled off. He'll have several charges involved with that. Can't allow things like that. You go to eat and people like that act ugly. How horrible is that? Also, as I get another report last night, this person, and let me back up here. Let me look at this. I've got notes on this from earlier of what went on with this. The Meridian Police Department took someone into custody last night. As they were arresting him, he had a felony warrant. That's why he was being arrested. After cuffs were placed on the man, well, he destroyed city property. We go, oh, city property, that's no big deal. Well, he took his head and bashed it on the back window of the patrol car, busted it out. He gets more charges now added to what he already had of the felony charges, the felony warrant that he had. There's a lot that goes on that we as normal citizens just have no idea what either the police department or the firemen encounter on a daily basis. Can you imagine? As I mentioned, the case of the man that was raising Cain with a gun in a restaurant, having to walk into that and make an arrest, as well as someone that you're putting handcuffs on, busting out a back glass. That means they're violent. Something is not right, and it's you and you alone that have to face this. So support our law enforcement. They go through a lot that we really don't know. Our jobs usually are, well, we may cut our finger with a piece of paper or slam our finger at a filing cabinet from time to time, or a hammer, whatever the job is that you do. Not as testy as those of firemen and first responders and cops. I bring up this next story. This was sent to me, edited. There's probably not a person that, it may not have happened to you. You've known this happened to someone else. It brings a smile to your face, and you can't help but just laugh along as someone's car rolls away from them. This happened near Chunky in a pasture. And it is kind of funny, as no one was hurt on this, and I don't want anybody to think that. But as you'll see here, the dog's going to help. He's trying to get into his car. I've gotten out of a car at a pasture before, forgot to put it in drive, turned it off, and there it goes. Well, that was the case here. Let's take a quick look at this. And there goes the chase. The car got away. It won. That happens. We'll probably have to replay that again on Monday. And that's pretty good. As we look around, we've had 2 reports of this, and I urge this because people do get confused. When they're out and about, no matter what they're doing at night, there are those, it's not always someone that's drinking and driving that does this. Sometimes it is. But we had 2 reports last night of people getting on highways and byways headed in the wrong direction in the wrong lane on a 4-lane. First would be here on Highway 19. Police had to make a stop on this as someone left Collinsville headed south in the northbound lane. Fortunately, with that, no one was hurt. Thank heavens. Can you imagine bumping into that, seeing that at night on top of it? Our next case would be out by the Ag Center as we go here to pull up another map. They would be heading into town in the wrong direction. That would be the eastbound lane, headed west in the eastbound lane. As they got near Meridian, they would be stopped right up here as they got into the city limits of Meridian for doing that. I'm sure both of these folks have got tickets to think about what went on there. Fortunately, in both of these cases, no one was hurt. Isn't that good? We've seen a lot of times where elderly will get confused. That does happen. We showed a video not long ago out at Highway 19 as somebody was leaving the Dollar General, turned to go to Collinsville, went all the way across and went north in the southbound lane. Again, we're fortunate no one was hurt on that. More coming up. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back to tell you about some other things that have happened around the state. A busy night on the local end, wasn't it? We've got all of that coming up. Rock House Gun and Pawn is open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. Lots of different calibers and brands to choose from when it comes to hunting rifles. Whether you're looking for a new pump shotgun or an AR, the Rock House will have the gun that you need. With a huge selection of ammunition for just about any caliber that you may be looking for. Pistols, scopes, and a whole lot more. Plus a private lobby for your confidentiality when it comes to your pawns. Rock House Gun and Pawn, located at 5430 Highway 19 North Meridian. And don't forget, Mississippi is having their tax-free weekend. Guns, ammo, and all of that, firearms this week. And at the Rock House, everything. Pay no sales tax all weekend. They're paying tax on everything in the store, no matter what you get, whether it qualifies for it or not. Pretty good deal. So if you've been wanting a hunting rifle or something like that, drop in. No sales tax this weekend. They'll be open till late this afternoon. Drop in and visit. Save a little money while you're at it. Let's see. I see where Northcrest, they were in with us to talk about this. Northcrest is going to have their big glow run this afternoon that will kick off at Bonita Lakes. It's a 5K run, 2-mile walk. It begins at 8 p.m. if you're stout enough to go do that tonight. Raising money. I hope you can help them out. Great church. They do a lot for the community. Hope you can, in return, help them as well. Are you aware Mississippi at this point? This number, and let me pull this up where you can get a good look at this because I want to show you what's here and what's around us. Look at this. Meridian, in the area, we don't have any cases in Meridian, but Mississippi has 29 cases of monkeypox now. Let's step over to Alabama, 53 cases. We go to Georgia, almost 1,300. Let's dip down to Florida. I bet it's a little higher. Yep, it is 1,739. As we go west and look at, as you see here, Meridian has 29, or Mississippi rather. Louisiana, 162. Arkansas, 28. Well, we're more than them now. And as we go to Texas, about 1,500. As you get up in these northern states, Pennsylvania, New York, at 3,100. That's just for the fun of it. Look at California, almost 3,300. Starting to become a problem nationwide as this spreads. You're hearing more and more children. You're even hearing some puppy dogs get it for being around those that are contaminated with it. Small children can get that. Keep it in mind. Mississippi has made national headlines, and I'm sure that we're going to hear more about this. At first, when I heard about this, it was an argument. I was busy. It was late yesterday afternoon before I could actually sit down and watch all of this. But as we go to TMZ, has this story. You can read it in several different places as we look at this. The wild fight broke out at a Mississippi football game. Yep, and it would be in Wayne County as Quitman was there. There's lots of talk about this as a coach scouting for another school was involved in this. And if you'll watch it, and we won't play this, but it was meet me in the parking lot. A few ugly words were exchanged, and the next thing you know, the two were tied up. What led to this, we don't know. But it doesn't look good. I don't care who you are to represent a school and go to another school and be involved in any type of fight or things like this. You can't do this. No word yet if any action is going to be taken, because no matter how you slice this, you are still a representative of another school. Period. You represent who you work for 24/7. And with most cases, every time that I've ever called a school resource office, their answer is no comment. And they were contacted with that, and they just don't reply. You may get something from the police department, but from schools, they just don't give you anything. But that is making headlines. If you hadn't seen that video, I've got it on our page, Scotty Ray Report, where you can click that and watch it if you want to. Argument. It's just amazing that things like that can happen. We go to Richland, Mississippi, over by Jackson. What's going on? Whoop. Music teacher arrested for gratification of lust charge. Yep, that happened in the state of Mississippi. He's a former teacher now as we pulled this up. Our friends over at Dark Horse Press releasing this information on this as we go to this. Sam Taylor was arrested on Wednesday evening of this week. Been charged with gratification of lust. He retired from teaching in 2020 from the school district. Then it makes you think, is there other things that you're not aware of? That did happen there. That was Heidelberg, as I just mentioned a moment. I failed to mention that. It was the coach from Heidelberg that was involved in that fight in the state of Mississippi down that made viral, that happened in Wayne County. We'll watch this, let you know if any more comes out of those story there. Let's see, Oxford. They're arresting folks for shoplifting. A couple went in together, started shoplifting. Can't do that. 2 arrested there. They were I don't know. And the thing about all of this is, and y'all know this, is we've watched this in other states, especially California. The shoplifting charge, $1,000 in these states, to where you're not really charged for anything. You're turned out and let loose. There's no way businesses can make it, and that's what makes our prices so much higher. Whether it's here, there, anywhere, anything that's shoplifted gets put back into cost because they've got to keep their doors open. Shouldn't happen, but it does. We know that. Jackson, Mississippi, it's just one thing after another as we see yet another man died after a shooting on Ellis Avenue at a gas station. It happened on late Thursday afternoon as we get the details of that. Again, it's one after the other on that. Now, I've got to dig into this. I have not had time to look at the exact salaries, but this is concerning for a state our size to where we're ranked normally, last in everything? We have fewer jobs. We have less folks making more money than any other state. In most cases, it's between us and Alabama. But the report has it out that Mississippi's 50th high-paid public officials make more than all the governors in the United States combined. Now, think that over now. These are appointed positions, not necessarily folks that run for a job. But you combine 50 of the top paid people in Mississippi, and then you take every governor in the United States and add up their salaries, the 50 in Mississippi make more than they do. And I did see one, and this would be the overall person. I think the governor makes somewhere, I don't have the exact number, but maybe it's around $150,000 in that neighborhood. You take the gentleman, and I don't know his name. Me and him don't hang out together. I'd have to look it up to say it, but the person that's over education, the mainmost man, the superintendent of all of it, makes about $300,000 a year. You'd be shocked at some of these salaries. That's high. You wouldn't even think that would be in there. That's a lot of money being spent. Wonder why your taxes are high? Well, we may know now. But we're going to get into this. I've got the report. I'll have to dig into this, print this out, and study this as to who, what, and why. But I think Mississippians need to be aware of all of this. And if you think that's a little steep, we should talk to our representative, shouldn't we? Absolutely. That is a lot of money. But we'll have more on that as we dig into this. Do y'all remember Carl the Rooster? Ocean Springs. The trial has been postponed for the young lady that is accused, and we say accused, that she's not been proven guilty of the woman that's accused of killing the beloved rooster, Carl. It's been delayed. Her attorney is asking for a change of venue because they feel she can't get a fair trial in Ocean Springs. Carl wasn't bothering anybody, was he? It was a group that was involved in all that. We'll see where this goes. I'm telling you, the citizens of Ocean Springs, if you're watching, y'all know what I'm talking about. He was Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky, kind of the town mascot, and he was murdered. However you put it, he was killed and murdered. We go to Hattiesburg next. A shooting at Raising Cane's in the parking lot in the wee hours of the morning. They've arrested somebody. I think the guy's going to be okay, but he was shot in the leg. What's that your mama said? Nothing ever good comes out after midnight. Stay home. A Jackson man has been arrested for ramming a Ridgeland patrol car and then running into the bushes. Just can't do that here in the state of Mississippi, can you? No, you can't do that. Let's see here. We go to, where are we going here? This story that is from Biloxi is where we go next. A family member was found deceased in a home by himself. After police would investigate, they would discover that there's blunt force trauma to his head. Family members are pushing for a full-blown investigation as they found the body of Eric Dean Barnes, a 52-year-old man deceased in his home. Not sure if that was a break-in yet as they do the investigation. More to come out of that as we look around the state. Let's see. This is pretty big. Criminals all at work. And this involves Mississippi and 3 other states. As a Louisiana man was arrested, what was he doing? He was stealing cars from car dealerships and also car rentals like Hertz and places like this. And they would take them back to Louisiana. They would pop off the VIN number, make up a fake VIN number, and then apply for a new title and then resell them in the New Orleans area. Criminals think hard and heavy how to make extra money. He's going to serve some time. He'll get at least 5 years in jail. He's being fined $250,000 for his criminal activities. Looks like it'd be more than that. I'm sure that we all know that one car now, a newer one, could cost $70,000. Doesn't seem to be a stiff fine for what he done there, does it? Headlines, as we look at the nation, Biden was advised not to do the student loan. He did it anyway. And you know what the sad part is? They have no idea how they're going to pay for it. It hadn't even been researched. He just did it. Makes you worry. Somebody's got to pay. Your taxes keep going up more and more with each one of these. And that's a big hoopla in America right now. We watch, and this kind of falls with what I do. I bring you headlines. I bring you weather that's online now through social media. As we look at this, there's going to be changes on down the road with other networks, major networks that have always done this. NBC, for the first time, is looking at canceling their 10 o'clock slot where they produce these big shows and turn it back over to the local affiliates to where they can run something there because the cost is getting so high of what they're doing, and they're going to focus on streaming instead of the network. More of this will change on down the road. Y'all watch this. But that's NBC considering that. Look for those changes to come. You ever read anything, and after you read it, you go, I'm not real sure what I read? Now, this is the case on this. This was a baseball game. This was going to be a Little League game. It was in Colorado. It got canceled. It was called Family Night, all because of sponsors. And this is where it gets kind of confusing. You have the people that sponsor the ball field all the time. Then you have 2 other sponsors that help pay for things. It was canceled because one of them was for pro-life. The pro-life group blamed the sponsor of the stadium and the other sponsor for their game being canceled because they were a sponsor of it. Both of those sponsors deny. At the end of the day, the game was canceled because of them. No one will admit it. It's the most confusing thing I've ever read. All because some people believed in, the right to life. That's headlines there. Oh, and more stories of this keep coming out about the guy on the honeymoon. How bad can it get that you're on a honeymoon and you decide, she's asleep. I'll go find a lady of the evening. And that's what he done. He was promptly arrested when he arrived at the motel room to meet the lady of the evening. He, along with 157 other men, 176, thought they would also visit the same hotel room that picked up on the ad. No word yet if he's still married. Odds are pretty slim there. And the police department in Florida releasing these, well, you can't really see anything, but that's a bunch of them there. All of them arrested for knocking on that door of that hotel room there where a cop was waiting on them. Have mercy is all I can say about that one. Woo! Mary Havett, how are you? Good to see you there. Tony Keller, Miss Jessica Davis is up today. Lamar Henry, good to see you there. Wayne Roberts, Wayne and Dolores, good morning to y'all. Seeing a lot of y'all up and at them there. Good morning from Clark County, Patsy Gilbert. Now, as I've brought this stuff up, we got to watch the weather today. We got more rain coming. There's more runoff that still hadn't made it to all the creeks and rivers. Main thing to be concerned with. We're going deeper into the forecast here in just a moment to let you know exactly what is going to happen today. Stay right with us. We'll be right back to pass along more of this. The Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville is passing along these great savings. Fresh blueberries, a pint, $2.99. Yellow, white, or bicolor corn, a 3-pack, $2.19. Fresh peaches, only $1.99 a pound. Coca-Cola products, 12-pack, 12-ounce cans, 2 for $11. Alabama extra large tomatoes, $1.99 a pound. And sirloin and pork chops, $1.49 a pound.
And we're down home, down the street, Piggly Wiggly.
Join Mike Rice Auctions and Wholesales every Tuesday night for a live auction, and you can bid from the comfort of your own home. Each week, Mike has a whole selection of auction items. Maybe you're a business that needs a liquidation sale. Or maybe you're in charge of an estate and don't know what to do with all you got. Talk to Mike Rice Auctions about an estate sale. Let Mike turn these items into cash for you. Your next deal is waiting for you at Mike Rice Auctions and Wholesale this Tuesday night, live on Facebook at 6:30. 75 at this point as we wait for a high of 88 later today. And again, 60% chance of showers, most likely to fall between 3 and 4 p.m. It's Mother Nature, but that's our best guess when it comes to when this stuff will arrive, to give you a heads up if you're doing outside things. Boy, the lawnmower business is kind of sluggish right now, isn't it? Just a little too wet to get those lawnmowers anywhere to cut grass. It's going to grow, though. Y'all mark my word on that. Your grass will be knee-high before long. All right, let's get into the forecast now.
Your forecast is brought to you by EMEPA, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
As we look at the record highs and record lows of this date, 1943, it was 105 on this date. We saw it 104 from 43 yesterday. But today, record high was 105. Back in 17, it was 55 degrees, a cool day back then. As we look for today's forecast, here we go. 88 for Meridian. Philadelphia, y'all see about 87, and we'll see that on up to Louisville. Columbus, it gets a little bit warmer, as we'll see 90 over at Mississippi State as well. Back west, we'll see 87 in Vicksburg, and to the south, 85 in Brookhaven, maybe 86 there in Natchez with the Antebellum homes. As we go across that state line to look at Bama, Birmingham will see 90 as well as Tuscaloosa. We'll still be holding steady at 88 at Livingston and through those areas through Butler, Alabama. I'll keep that in mind. And rain further to the south toward the coast is expected in Alabama today. As we look at the possibility of flash flooding, here's what we've got. We're at a level 1, which means 1 to 2 inches of rain could fall today in less than a 3-hour period, which could cause some flash flooding. Again, we're looking at that. It can fall anywhere from 7 a.m. this morning to 7 p.m., most likely late into the afternoon hours after 3 o'clock. Again, that's what we're looking at. Again, don't drive through these flooded waters. Be careful. As we look at what's going to happen, dense fog is finally burned off. That happened through about 9 o'clock this morning. Running a little behind, wasn't I? As we look at the forecast, we're about normal here. We'll get a little bit cooler temperatures, but look what's coming. These 80s will finally go away. Not too far from long, a couple weeks away from it, but be ready. As we look at the forecast for today, this is what we've got, as I mentioned just a moment ago. Our biggest chance of rain will most likely fall after 3 o'clock today. 60% chance of showers. Sunshine for the most part until that happens. High of 88. Heat index will reach 97 today. Whew, a hot one. By tonight, we'll decrease to a 30% chance of showers. Between 10 and midnight, it kind of expect those sprinkles there. Cloudy with a low around 72. Back tomorrow, and rain chances decrease for a couple of days there. We'll head off to church tomorrow with a 50% chance of showers that will roll in right after church is over, about 1 o'clock there. Otherwise, sunshine. Heat index, a little warmer tomorrow. 98 is what we're expecting on that. By Monday, we get our lowest chance there, 40% chance before it jumps back up on Tuesday to a 70% chance, 60% chance on Wednesday. We may get away with it on Thursday. We look at 30% as not being bad anymore, don't we? Friday, still rain chances, and we roll on through September the 10th. And yes, still in those 80s, 81 on the 10th, 83. Now, let's look at what's happening here in the waters. A 30% chance of this becoming something as it makes its way from Africa across the Atlantic. We've got a 20% chance within the next 5 days of this storm becoming something as it nears the Gulf. Now, I have a lot of people speculating that something could come about Labor Day weekend. We'll watch all of this, be on top of this every day as a threat could happen to the Gulf, maybe on the Mississippi Gulf Coast or Alabama, anywhere along in there. We'll be on it. Let you know what happens with all of this as we watch it very closely. Hurricanes scare me. I don't know about you. Saturday, what's the best fishing time for today? Well, Chet's Paint and Body tells us today. Well, a great time to be out will be 1:30 this afternoon till about 3:30, right before that rain starts. So they'll be fishing in a bite, and go by and visit with them there. Get you some there. The wind is going to be calm, becoming south-southeast around 5 miles an hour this afternoon if you're keeping up with that. So that's a good thing. I just got a text from Clark County, and let's see what that is. Flood warning from today, the 27th, through from 9 o'clock this morning to the 28th, which will be tomorrow through 7 p.m. So as that water keeps going, we've loaded a lot of pictures from the Enterprise area there, those areas down in there. Stonewall, y'all be careful. We don't want you to get wet there. Watch your homes there. Let's see, Timmy's having a birthday. We see that. Timmy Allen, happy birthday to you there. Lonnie, glad to see you there. Jeanette, thank you for joining us there. It's going to conclude what we've got this morning. Thank y'all for joining us and watching what we have to offer every day, Monday through Friday on television as well. And we do a 6:30 broadcast right here just like this to keep you up to date with what's going on in our community. As always, I cannot do this without your help. If you see it, snap a picture, send me a note. You can inbox me on Facebook, or you can send me a note at ScottyRay1969 at AOL. Get them all kinds of ways. It lets us keep you informed of what's happening in our community. All about you, and we do appreciate it. Thank y'all. We'll be back soon from the Scotty Ray Report as we welcome a weekend, as we wind down this weekend of the last one of August. We're getting ready to roll into September. And don't forget, it is tax-free weekend on any firearm that's out there as they celebrate this across the state of Mississippi. 0% sales tax. Limited time only. It ends this weekend, so take advantage of it. Pick you out something you've been wanting. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much.
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners: